So, welcome to our 17th Lisk Community Builders Meetup. We will talk about LiskCrowd. It's a proof of concept made by the Moosty team. So, to be clear, the Moosty team are Rafael, Sander, and I, and we are in charge of or responsible for Lisk Center Utrecht. And simultaneously, we are also working on our proof of concepts, of which LiskCrowd is one. Just before we start, a little bit of news. Today we saw a mention by Max Kordek that the external security audit is being conducted, but in the meantime also a GitHub has been opened for the SDK 5.1, and 5.1 will be used to create the final version of Lisk Core 3.0.0, which will go to mainnet in later stage. So just so you know, check out the Lisk.io blog about the new development schedule, and you will be up to date for the protocol changes in the future, and also the SDK. So I also think we had, or I know that last week we had a talk by Nazar Hussain at We Are Developers. Be sure to watch it if you are interested in how the SDK works and his opinion and views on what you can do with it. Really interesting and cool to see. So today I will walk you through the LiskCrowd platform. And first I have to mention that we have built it with the Lisk Builders grant. So how that works is that you write a proposal for the Builders program. You can find it on lisk.io, and then you are able to get a grant worth of 2,500 Swiss francs to build a proof of concept with the Lisk SDK, write a blog post, create a demo, and publish the code open source on GitHub, and then you will be able to get a grant. So we got the grant for this project, and the rest will be explained later on. So what you see here is the Lisk platform, how it works with Lisk. The main difference between different platforms like Ethereum is that you are not creating smart contracts sitting on top of a specific blockchain, but you create your own blockchain protocol. So with Lisk SDK, you build your own blockchain application, which has its custom logic, and you will need to make a user to interact with that protocol. The only language you are using is TypeScript or JavaScript. What is LiskCrowd and how does it work? LiskCrowd is a regulated blockchain, a regulated crowdfund platform. So what do we mean with that is that currently if you do a crowdfund, then you raise money. For example, also ICOs are a kind of a crowdfund. And when you raise the money, you get it in a bank account and you are responsible for doing whatever you want with that money. So sometimes an escrow account is used, but with the Lisk, with a regulated crowdfund platform, we have built a protocol layer that actually has some mechanisms programmed into it that when you do a fundraiser, a crowdfund, that the money has been stored in a secure location and is provided to you every month. And you have to adhere to a couple of regulations because otherwise the donators are able to retract the money. So you will hear more about that later on. So in this place you see everybody can make an account, everybody can create a crowdfund, and we used a set of custom transactions for that. So an overview, you will have to make a contract which creates an account on the blockchain for your fundraiser. The contract has to be funded because you are looking for money and looking for financing a product, for example. Then the project has to start. That's a transaction. You can vote on the contract. The donators can vote on the contract, and money can be unlocked by the startup, but also be unlocked by the donators, the investors. So how do you create a contract? There are 3 steps to create a contract. You give it a name, you give the description, or I'm sorry, there are 3 steps to create a crowdfund campaign. So we call it a fundraiser, whatever you call it. Give it a title, give it a description. We have categories. We used the categories made by the Lisk Builders program. You have to set a target amount you want to raise, and you have to set a duration of the project. And then the third thing, which is might be most important, or the regulated part, is that you have to set an interval at which donators can vote. So how it works is target amount, in this case it's 10,000, duration is 12 months. So I need 10,000 to fund a project of 12 months. And every month donators can vote for the project to continue or for the project to end. If more than 50% of the donators actually vote no, then the fund will execute, and the funds become accessible for the donators again. So we try to provide an incentive for the startup or the project to keep the donators involved and give them information on the progress of the project. So you can see you get some more dynamics. For example, you can also put it at once in 3 months for donators to vote, and we automatically that will be automatically created within the contract. So then you put a date, the start of your crowdfund, and then you can create it. You have to do a confirmation. You have to confirm your fundraiser with a transaction. Then it's been actually, this transaction creates your crowdfund on the blockchain platform. You also see that there's a transaction fee. We use dynamic fees for it, so it depends. So it doesn't cost a lot of tokens. So how does this look like in code? If you create a crowdfund, then at the last stage here, you confirm that you want to create this crowdfund, you send it to the blockchain, and automatically a specific account on the blockchain will be made for the crowdfund campaign. So the crowdfund campaign gets its own blockchain account with these assets. So we see who is the owner of the crowdfund, what the status is of the crowdfund, what the goal is, the time periods, title, description, etc. Later on, we will interact with this account when something changes with this crowdfund. So for example, if someone pays or someone has to vote. So if you create a crowdfund and the day, you can give it a time and date when the crowdfund starts, and at that point, automatically the crowdfund goes live. Here we have extraordinary crowdfund, which wants to raise 10,000 CFT, which are crowdfund tokens. And now everybody can back it. So someone can invest in the crowdfund, click on back it, and then the next thing happens. So you are going to transfer funds to the crowdfund, and you see it over here on the left. Here you see the investment. So if you back the crowdfund campaign, you provide it with with your address, the amount you want to transfer, the timestamp, and a message. And then here you see that the transaction will actually upgrade the balance of the fundraiser campaign and also provides it with an asset, and that's called the investment, or we call it the investment assets. It is an array where we see how many people have invested. And here it checks if the crowdfund will be, if you are raising 10,000 tokens, and at one point somebody adds the latest tokens and runs it, fills it fully, or then the status of the crowdfund will change. So actually, here we have the crowdfund has reached its goal. Then the fundraiser can start a project. This is the transaction with that. First, we do a couple of checks, and after that, the status of the fundraiser will change, and the project becomes active. So on the left, you see the project awaiting the start, and on the right, we see that the project has been started. So every time something happens, or something is going to happen in the future, in this case, we create a project timeline for that. So if you want to raise money, you provide the project with information, a moment to start, but also that you have voting moments. So for example, once a month or once in the 3 months. And here you see that the next vote is going to happen in about an hour, 2 days, or 3 days. So voting, why and how? If you are an investor in a project, then in the case of crowdfunds, normally you do not have a lot of say in it. We give the persons who invested in the project the chance to actually retract their money when they are not at all satisfied by what the project actually promised beforehand. So of course there are a lot of mechanisms that you can try to play this. It's just a proof of concept, so it's fairly simple. But if more than 50% of the investors vote no during a voting period, then automatically the remaining funds still in the crowdfund will be unlocked, and the voters, the donators, can retract their money again. So here you see a vote. Do I want a refund? Yes or no? I confirm my vote, and in this case, I can also claim my payout. So the claim payout works 2 ways. If the project is still live, then every month the fundraiser can actually claim their payouts. So we said beforehand, as a fundraiser, you have to decide on the total amount you want to raise. So in this case, 10,000 CFT, and you have to think about how long does my project, is my project going to last, and how many, what do I want actually per month. So every month, a part of that fund will be opened up, and you can claim your payout. So instead of getting the money at once, you will get your money for the project every month. So here, the project can claim its payout and go on for another month. Also, if investors retract their money, then they also can claim their money back like this. So what we see on the right, we see that we have a couple of checks we have to do, and then underneath we see what happens. Oh, here at the top we see that the balance has been changed already, and here the assets are transferred to the blockchain. So the fundraiser account will be updated with the changes. So basically that's it. That's what we have built. And here's a list of links for you to check the project, to read about, read the blog. You can also check out the demo or the GitHub and improve on the project itself. There are also some links about Lisk where you can see other apps or documentation. And don't forget about the open custom transaction registry, but that will change in the future too. We will post the links on Lisk Chat later on, so just be sure to check that out. And it was a reminder. So that's it. Are there questions about LiskCrowd? So if there are no questions, it's easy to wrap it up. So in the meantime, in about 2 weeks, we will have Sherman Voskemir during the Utrecht blockchain nights. I will interview her about tokenization and business models. So I'm really curious about what she can tell us about it. She has done some interesting research into Steam, for example, and how the models work and don't work. So if you want to know more about tokenization and business models in the tokenized world, be sure to check in. It's, I think, in about 2 weeks, Thursday at 8 o'clock in the evening. And next week, Thursday, we are still looking for a speaker for the Lisk Community Meetup. So if you have a project, if you want to talk about something, or if you have a lib, for example, which you would like to get an explanation on, just let us know in time. So then we can do some research. So then I do not see any questions. I will thank you for being here and see us next week. And thank you. Bye-bye.